Well, welcome. That took way too long. If you've seen my very first short that I posted on this channel, and I have it on my TikTok as well, that was one where I tried to explain the underlying concept of my channel, as well as tell to you all that I was going to post the very first long form video that weekend. Now, that's been clearly close to a year ago, so what happened? All kidding aside, life gets in the way and it's not always as tricky. That's not the best excuse, but there's two very good reasons why this actually dragged on the way it did. Before I get there though, I just want to get quickly back to what we're actually doing here. My desire to start this thing online on social media actually started as a result of the personal journey that I've been through over the past 2 years. I'm Dutch myself. I lived in the Netherlands for a long time. I started off my career there. I moved to London to work for a bit there. And then I got an amazing opportunity, which puts me where I currently am. Doha, Qatar, for the initiated. Now, that's an amazing place, and this has been an incredible journey that I've been on, and I'm very blessed to have gotten that chance. I'm also really happy with the personal growth that I've made over those past 2 years, and that's essentially where this is all coming from, right? Me wanting to share how I've improved, what I've done so far, but also to start documenting this and bringing you all along with the journey that I'm going through, because I'm nowhere near where I want to be yet, right? Both in my career, in my investments, in my other businesses, there's so much more that needs to be done. And there's going to be so much lessons that I'm still going to come across. Now, having said that, I'm that keen on sharing it with you all. What was the holdup for the past year? Look, life gets in the way. It's not the best one, but I think there's, as I said, there's 2 points that really come into play. And I wanted to actually share those interesting concepts with you all. So the first one is what I call the ability expectation paradox. And I think it's very natural. I think a lot of people will run into this. Whenever you're starting something new, or even when you're still doing something, I think it's the never-ending process in that sense, we tend to draw inspiration and expectations from those that we see around us. Generally speaking, those will be the top performers or the top people in their respective field, right? Mostly you can get inspired maybe from people you have a personal connection with, but generally speaking, we tend to get inspired by the upper echelon of whatever activity or whatever area of life we're looking into. And that is two sides of the same coin. It's a plus and it's a negative. It's great because you've got a really good example to mirror your own activities against. There's no better way to learn from those who are on the top of their league. Downside of that though is that it casts a pretty long shadow for you to walk in, and it puts the bar really high, especially compared to your current ability, right? And that's that's the ability expectation paradox, right? That gap initially is so big that we tend to get discouraged on making the very first steps. Now, how do you really deal with that? This is gonna sound way easier than it probably should be, but the very simple advice is to just start. And the best way I think to do that is to break it down. So first of all, but second of all, you have to realize that expectation that you're looking at, that's years in the future. Or rather, for the person that you're drawing the expectation from, that is their ability at that point in time. But that ability has been collected over a long stretch of time, right? Years or a lifetime even in certain fields. So you shouldn't project that expectation on your current ability. You should project that expectation on your expectation of your own ability several years down the line of the same length that you're looking at it for them. I think at that point, you should put yourself in a much more field that makes sense for yourself, and it lowers the barrier to entry to just start. The other point that I think is a hold of a lot of people is what I call the quality preparation paradox. It's also one of those interesting concepts that I think everyone runs into, and myself included. Definitely, to come up with a high quality output, there's a certain level of preparation required, right? You can just wing stuff, and I think there's very rare cases where that can actually be beneficial, maybe especially in more creative fields. But generally speaking, I'd say some preparation is key. That being said, there's a limit to how much the preparation can do. And that's where the paradox comes into play, right? You can't over prepare. You can't sort of be stuck in the thinking and the planning and the preparation phase. At some point, you need to switch to action. And a really key concept for yourself to realize there is that a lot of the things that you're going to prepare for, you actually don't really know yet. Especially if it's a new activity, you don't know what you don't know yet, if that makes sense. So you have to get going, and you're going to then run into issues. You're going to then run into things that could have done better. And those lessons you can take for the next time, and you can include those in your preparation. But at the very beginning, you don't even know that you're preparing for those yet, right? I'm sure that with my journey now of starting to create this content, I'm going to run into issues. How I've already run into issues while setting up the initial format here now. And that's right. I think that's part of the fun of the journey. That's why we're doing this, and really important to do it in that sense. So those are the two: quality and preparation, ability and expectation. Keep those in mind for all the stuff that you're trying now or the items that you think about actually starting new. I'm definitely going to keep them in mind, and it should do a lot better for any future events here. Then maybe to link it back to that very first TikTok. When I made that, and some of you might have seen it, or the very first short here, I said I was going to actually make the first video on my, what I call the underlying concept that for me is key to my approach to life, and that I think has really helped me over those past two years. Obviously, for now, I'm going to leave it here. I'm recording this at like 12 at night, by the way. I'm going to call it a day soon. I just wanted to, as I said, make a start, get this out there, and that's why I'm doing this. But for next video, right, no worries, we're going to get to that core concept as a teaser. It's going to be about pressure, and I think it really changed my life, and I think it might do the same for you guys as well. So definitely stay tuned for that one. So I will leave it all there, and to already introduce something that I'm going to repeat to you all over and over again. Pressure is king.